specifically using distress markers over top of my stamping to create a little bit of watercolour depth to my image. I'm using stamps from Reverse Confetti. This is a new set called Love Blooms. It's some great handwritten sentiments and a two-step flower. So you've got the bold sections and the outline sections, which of course can be used by themselves as well, like I have today. I've stamped my images in Memento Luxe. This is Rosebud. Now you want to use a pigment ink for this, or at least I did. If you want a really watercoloured, sort of soft, the image goes everywhere kind of look, use distress ink because that will react well with the water. I wanted the base image to stay in place so I could just add some watercolour depth over the top. So the images are stamped in Pear Tart and Rosebud Memento Luxe. The sentiment is stamped in Espresso Truffle. Okay, so here I've started some of the watercolouring so that you don't have to sit and watch me watercolour forever. And I'm going to use 3 colours of distress marker, or you can just use distress ink or re-inkers. It'll all work the same way really. I have mostly distress markers in my craft room. I'm using worn lipstick, barn door, fire brick, and for the leaves I'm using peeled paint. So it's really simple. I'm no artist by any means. All I'm going to do is pick up my lightest colour first and just sort of go right over those petals. Now remember I said that I was using pigment ink, and so that stops the ink underneath what I'm doing with my brush from really moving around very much. So I'm just going to go around and sort of outline these petals a little bit. And seriously, I'm not really careful about this at all. Okay, so there I've layered on the worn lipstick, and when that dries, that's going to be very, very close to the Rosebud ink that we stamped it in. So now I'm going to add in a little bit of the barn door, and all I do is just add a little bit less really. And because that's already wet, that will sort of start spreading out a little bit, and it may bleed over some lines and stuff, but just go with it because we sort of want, like, I'm not going for like a really dreamy watercolour look, but a little mess will be fine. This is a very forgiving technique. Okay, and then I'm going to go in with the third colour, and I am just getting a little bit of water off my brush when I do that, just so it doesn't get crazy on me. Okay, so it looks kind of weird now. Now I'm going to go back in with my lightest colour, and that's where you sort of just start playing with these edges a little bit and get them wet, and because it's distress ink, it all sort of moves around and it makes you look like you knew what you were doing, which I clearly don't. But you'll end up with something quite pretty. And it just adds some more dimension to your stamped image without having to play with multiple ink colours, and it's kind of cool. Makes you feel like you're doing something arty. I've made that one quite a lot darker than the base one, so I probably will go back. It's a great thing. You can go back and change it up and add a little bit more, whatever you want to do. First, I'm just going to make I'm going to add a lot of water, make a really light wash of the worn lipstick, the lightest colour I was using, and I'm just going to go over the edges here a little bit, just to get sort of a very soft halo. Like, I didn't want this going everywhere, but I just want a little bit more. Plus, that helps hide any mistakes you might have made. You probably didn't make any, but I made lots. So that'll dry, and that'll sort of have that, you can wash it out a little bit with some more water, but it'll sort of give it like that sort of watercolour halo kind of look. I think it's pretty. Okay, and so for the leaves, it's basically the same thing. Except I'm not going to put a lot of water on my brush here. I almost sort of brush this on. Sorry, I'm going to move this so that it makes sense for me. Just on the base of the leaves like this. And then I just go back in with just a wet brush with no colour on it really, and just soften those lines. And that is it for the leaves. Like, they're so quick and simple. It really does add a lot of dimension to the image. And then same deal, I'm going to go over with a really light watercolour. And so that's it. And so I can, like you can see that I've got a lot more base colour on this top image than I do on the bottom, but that's fine because I can go back in and you can play with it. Now I am using a good watercolour paper. I think this is the Distress brand watercolour paper. So that is what allows you to sort of go back in and play with it for as long as you want, really, and it's not going to all pill and bunch up. Actually, here it is right here. So this is the watercolour cardstock that I'm using. But any good quality watercolour cardstock will do. And you can go in and you can layer and layer and layer and you'll be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and make my card. So here's my finished card, and I did go back in and add a little bit more depth of colour and wash things out a little bit and just played with it generally. I added some polka dots at the base of my card using the small polka dots from Whole Lot of Dots, and they were stamped in Angel Pink, Memento Luxe. And then I added a border using the double-edged scallop border, and I just trimmed off the smaller scallop that I didn't need. And I used a little heart from the Heart to Heart confetti cups. These match the new Heart to Heart stamp set, but they also look really, really cute just by themselves. I've attached that with a little peg, and of course added a doily because I think those are super girly, and a few clear sequins. So thanks very much for joining me today. You can find all these goodies at www.reverseconfetti.com, and you can find me at thinkingstamps.com. Bye!